Got a Libra. Welcome to Navajo Sage Weaver Tarot's channel. Welcome, you guys. I am going to do Libra's reading today. Um, and I already pre-shuffled and laid out your cards. This is a combination of four decks. I will be pulling um, from the Wisdom of Elders and then the Divine Feather Message there. And so, Libra, yeah, anything that you want to know is located down below in the description box. And so let's begin your reading. All right, so let's shake the gourd to move any stagnation energy. All right, Libra, let's give this a little shuffle here and split it in half. And so on the top of the of this bottom deck is seven, honesty, sab, uh, sab, Bigfoot, and then the bottom is two, truth, turtle. All right, spirit and guides, get a card for Libra. And then we have Falcon. And Falcon is use your keen perception and skills in making decision. Do not delay. Okay, seven, honesty. Same, Bigfoot. Honesty is a secret grandfather teaching that starts with one, as it is, that is, as it takes bravery to be honest through words and actions. Being honest with ourselves, it becomes easier to be honest with others. The sacred grandfather teaching of honesty is provided to us by Sabe, uh, Saskatch, Bigfoot, which imparts its ability to truly understand what is and how it walks through life. To walk with integrity, it is known honesty, and to be honest with yourself reflects a level of righteousness. Long ago, Sabe Bigfoot walked among people to remind them to be honest to each other and to the laws of the Creator. It is said that honest people keep their promise and live a life true to one amplifies honesty. It is truly accepted who you are and how the Creator made you is to be true to one's own spirit. Fully accepting who you are, willing will guide you through this sacred teaching. Um, Remember that embracing who you are is being honest with yourself and the Creator. You might call upon to be honest in a particular situation or become more honest with yourself regarding how authentically you walk in this life. Remember to embrace all that you are. The Creator made you unique expression of divine and expression of truest version of self, assisting in rising earth vibration.
All right.
Two, truth, turtle. Truth is the accumulation of the seven sacred grandfather teaching, which works together as a whole. It is necessary to be truthful to yourself and know that in order to live all the seven teachings, one must embrace each teaching individually. For example, truly understand and express love, one must know wisdom, respect, bravery, honesty, humility, and truth. It is by embracing all seven sacred grandfather teaching that we can truly live a good, healthy life. Turtle represents truth because it is here during the creation of Earth and carries its teaching on its back. It was presented when humans were given these secret teaching to ensure that these laws would never be lost or forgotten. Turtle is one of the oldest animals on the planet and lives its life in a slow and deliberate manner. Turtle understands the importance of both the journey and the destination. The back of a turtle shell reflects the idea of the times because there are 28 markings around the edge representing the 28 days of a woman's cycle and the 13 shapes in the center connecting to the full moon cycle within a year. You're being called to honor the truth. Perhaps there's a situation in your life requiring truth to speak truly in a truthful you speak truthful on a manner, you might receive honest communication regarding an important aspect of your life, or it is now time for you to focus on your deeper truths within a part of your life. All right, so that is the message from the wisdom of elders.
All right.
So Libra, we're bringing in the energy of the Page of Swords. So the Page of Swords is somebody who's curious, right? Somebody who wants to learn, somebody who is seeking, seeking truth. We just read about truth. So when you're in that energy, right? Then we bring in the High Priestess um, because the High Priestess is one who you is um whose union with the divine, right? Who uses their shamanic vision, who can go between uh, the dark and the light. And so um, the high priestess is, those mysteries, those listening to our intuition, uh, gaining knowledge within ourselves, listening to ourselves, trusting ourselves, being honest with ourselves, right? And then when that energy comes, then we go into the Queen of Pentacles. And the Queen of Pentacle energy here is reminding us that, we need to nurture, right? We need to nurture our growth. We need to nurture whatever we're trying to find clarity, truth on. We need to find, you know, why we need to nurture our shamanic visions, the bridging, gapping, uh, mending, combining both aspect of the shadow and light attribute. And so we need to nurture it, right? But also we need to trust. Um, we need to trust ourselves too. And it's mm, and all that is around, your surrounding, your environment. And when you're able, right? When you're able to trust and see that energy of the Queen of Pentacles because you're healing, you're the healer, right? You're at the healing stage because you're trusting, you're nurturing. The Queen of Pentacles, she's one that's, curious and she's stable. Um, and then the Ace of One energy enters into the journey. The seed of truth coming out, right? You're expanding your feel of flowers here of inspiration, right? Because you're being honest, you're listening to yourself, trusting, being true. And you have the Falcon energy, skills in making decision, do not delay. And then when your flower starts to create, right? Because you're learning how to be honest and true. And when you start doing that, right, things start really changing. When you start uh, learning how to listen to your body, learning how to, take time for yourself, give yourself the adequate rest, you know, being kind to it, you know, uh, listening to it, connecting to it, our body forms completely different, and then you have the six cups here energy reminding us, that when our ace of wands starts to, to create, then there's this thing of spirit saying, you know, give back, you know, to who, you know, um, help somebody, right? Because that way you can keep that energy, that frequency moving, and you won't be stuck in it. Because sometimes the Six of Cups energy um, can also have a emotional connection to the past. So maybe being honest with yourself and letting it go, letting something go, right? Um, Thinking about the past, your childhood. Uh, so we are moving on, right? When we feel our past or, you know, when we look at it from a truthful perception and be honest with ourselves, right? We can move off from that stagnation and then go into the Knight of Cups. And the Knight of Cups is, telling us, spirits telling us to slow down, you know, and enjoy, right, your Ace of Wands. Enjoy this clarity of truth that you were looking for. The Page of Swords, this protection energy here, this always moving, right? And then the energy of the Six of Wands is putting your ideas into practice now, right? Putting how you came across this Ace of Wands, why you're protecting it, why it's moving so much. Um, I mean, the Six of Wands. And then the Six of Wands, too, can, talk about success, maybe some sort of promotion, uh, coming in, enjoying the work that you've been doing, looking at it, sitting here, seeing how you tied, these things together, creating something, maybe starting, looking at it from a new idea, giving yourself new ideas. And when you do that, right, the Five of Wands comes in. Conflict, distress, you know, maybe having arguments with yourself, maybe disagreements, not able to uh, sort to an idea of what, you wanted to create, right? Your Ace of Wands, why you have to, why you're enjoying your cup here, you know? Sometimes we get into conflicts with ourselves. Sometimes those conflicts are what we call, barriers, obstacles. And maybe they're, outside things, like chores, small things kind of getting in the way, maybe too many things that need to be done, and that feels overwhelming, Sometimes if you just write it down and look at it and work from the top to the bottom, what's important to what's least important, and work it and start crossing off the list. Um, so maybe there's some, you know, just trying to be honest with yourself, but it's hard, right? Because there's these choices here that are causing conflict within self. And then the energy of the Knight of Wands here comes in. The Knight of Wands is, you know, change, you're making movement, you're reacting, because if you don't, right, if you don't take one of these wands and, start somewhere, right, um, it can be in stagnation. So you're really pushing ahead, charging, you know. And then when you do that, right, you can take a look at it with the six of coins here, taking care of what um, you know, the needs of others, right? Because like the pentacles, the beetles, these insects, they got a pentacle, sharing it with spirit here. Because uh or learning how to um give back, because you got uh the six of cups um here twice. So just trying to find balance in giving, right, and receiving. And sometimes it's not easy to do that, So maybe this thing is making this aware, right? And then also the Page of Swords coming in at the beginning and being here, and look at this page right here is ready you know, to take action. And he's not wearing a mask anymore. Here you were wearing a mask, maybe not being truthful or honest with yourself. And so when you took off the mask, right, it's all, you know and changing, it changed you. And so no longer you're wearing that mask. But also, you know um the Page of Swords, is this curious being, wishing to always look with truth. But, maybe there's a need to approach challenges, um, with like really strong mental stability, right? Um, very, in a very wise way, instead of just, you know, rushing up with it. And then also being open to new ideas and perspective that's coming in, because the Two of Swords comes in, and then it makes it difficult, right? It makes it difficult. Why? Because we're trying to make a decision, and trying to find clarity of which sword now you want to use, because because you're helping others, so spirit is helping you, and is like, hey, you know I know you have one sword here, but let me give you two, and you can pick whatever you want. Look closely, you're really looking at it. Got your mask on, you know uh which one can go with your mask, like like the movies, Zorro, he has a mask and is a unique sword. So you want to have that. Spirit's allowing you to, you know, bring this falcon energy, use your keen perception and skills making decisions. So, and then you have the Three of Cups energy here coming in. And the Three Cups energy is after this choice, right? You get to celebrate because, you help people, you inspire them in some way, right? Libra. And so, because you're helping people with the Three of Cups, celebrating, enjoying other people's company, and then going out, right? Going out and having some coffee, something to drink. And then when you're in that energy, the Four of Wands, comes in, continuing that celebration, enjoying the wonders of life. This is the time to examine, right? Really examine all of maybe those flowers, look at it carefully, and then the energy of the Three of Coins. The Three of Coins, energy is celebrating with friendship again, you know. You get your your buddies, they're got a pentacles, in some way, and they got their mask on, right? Because they that you picked you have your mask and you pick your sword, here's your mask and your sword turn into a pentacle, celebrating it. Now you guys are enjoying this, so maybe there's, like this theater kind of uh acting, right? Libra or um but maybe something with costume, you know. And then the chariot comes in. And the chariot energy is, you're using your intuition to guide you to your destiny, your trust, your your trust in the path. Even if you can't see, right? You're you're being guided by creator, by spirit. And then the seven of swords energy comes in. I mean the six of swords, sorry, where you're moving forward, leaving those uh difficulties behind, right? Taking what only needed, right? Taking the swords that you need because you looked at them really close and now you have clarity. You're really moving. And then justice comes in, right? Under the two of swords, you finally picked that one sword. You finally, uh, you finally, found fairness and, you know, you finally, being responsible for, for choosing this, right? Finally making that balance. And then when you do that, enjoy that justice, right? Because, finding accountability, right? Um, it it um gives us our karma, right? So maybe, now your swords, finding that one, now you're able to, you know, balance out your karma in some way. And then the Nine of Cups comes in, energy, a wish come true. You're looking at all your cups, all your swords, all your wands, all your, pentacles. You're checking them out here, your cups. You're looking at them, enjoying them. I wish you could see I don't know if you can see this, but enjoying her fruits of labor, those cups. And then when you're enjoying it, right, the devil energy comes in, reminding us to learn how to take care of yourself, Libra. Don't give your power away, Figure out how to, you know, unchain yourself to unhealthy habits, Change um, that energy, you know, of having an addiction, you know, temptation, uh, facing them, breaking them free, you know, um, breaking those unhealthy attachments. Then when you do that, the Eight of Pentacles, you start working hard, you start becoming dedicated to, to your path here with the Eight of Pentacles. This energy reminding, you know, us discipline, use your skills. You're looking at it. And then when you start doing that, right, then the world comes in. And so the world is that you're finally understanding the interconnection of all the things around you to make you feel complete and being able to give back to community, right? The world energy is new beginnings, completions. The world energy is having that achievement to your goal here. And then the Three of Pentacles comes in. And this is just, I think we have, let me look before I say anything. Uh, oh, we have it right here, you know, the Three of Coins. So here you're enjoying it, right? And then here you're laying down your foundation this time. So maybe the Three of Pentacles, it repeating, sometimes is just highlighting more uh, for us, to pay attention to it, right? Really highlighting the importance, recognizing, you know, uh, your unique contribution, right, of giving back to to community, being, delivered of taking your time to, you know, pick that one sword up there. And so, but doing it in groups, right? Because you have groups, throughout and then uh, you in, your story here, Libra, with the Temperance, you know, finding that balance and harmony and being patient with yourself, so this is a transformational balance for you this month, Libra, and you're fulfilling opportunities of growth and emotional connections with your community, or you whatever you know you call as your people, right? And making you know uh decisions for yourself, using your keen perceptions and skills, right? Honing on to them, seeing them for what they are, looking at them from different perceptions, right? whether it's with your mask or off your mask, and celebrating and just allowing yourself to trust and being honest with yourself and your intuition. So, Libra, I just want to say that is your message. So I just want to say thank you for allowing me to do your reading. And I just want to say, Wijonascli, 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 Asha.